Well, g'day everybody, this is Peter. Today I'm just going to cover off my hook choices, the reason I use the hooks I do, and I'll show you quickly how I rig them for big snapper and big gummy sharks. My hook of choice is naturally Gamakatsu. I've been using Gamakatsu now for about 15 years. I have two main styles that I use in Gamakatsu. They are both in the Octopus circles and the Octopus suicide range. For my early season snapper, I will use the Octopus in a suicide pattern in something like a 4-0 or a 5-0. Early season snapper fishing can be very timid bites, and I do find that using a suicide hook is good in that. Once the season heats up and the water's warmed up to, in Melbourne here, mostly around that 16 degrees and above, I will switch over to a circle hook. For bigger snapper, I'm always using either a 7-0 or an 8-0 in the Octopus circle. For smaller fish, if I was just chasing school fish for a feed, I'd be using somewhere around the 6-0 circle in the offset. I do prefer that, it's good for the smaller fish. Bigger fish have no dramas at all. They've got a very big mouth that opens up very wide, and that's where I would always use, you probably can't see that very much, that's a 7-0 circle. I'll use that. It does tend to give a very good corner hook up in the jaw, gets in behind the big muscle they have here, and allows a very good hook up. It's excellent. So with the Octopus hooks and the suicide hooks, they come in a variety of sizes. You've got your smaller retail packs, which are normally 25 hooks. They also do a larger retail pack of a 50, and then you can get your bulk packs of 100 hooks. Gamakatsu hooks, a good thing about them, yes, they're not a cheap hook, but never want to buy a cheap hook because that is what your trophy fish is attached to. The best thing about them, they offer value. They're a hook that does not rust very much at all. And it's not unusual for me to get to sometimes even a third session out of a hook. I'm obviously always checking to make sure there is no signs of rust and that the point is still razor sharp. But the hooks do last, guys. They do not just rust out like some brands do very quickly. So they're a great value for money hook. So with them, now I said for big snapper, I will use a 7-0 or an 8-0 in the offset Octopus circle. For gummy sharks, that's predominantly an 8-0 hook, straight up, don't matter what size gummy. They've got a big mouth, very tough mouth, and the 8-0 circle gives you a great hook up in the side of the mouth. One big thing with when you are using circle hooks, a lot of people make the mistake. They will bury too much of that hook in the bait. When you're fishing a circle hook, that hook needs to be able to pivot so that when a fish swallows the bait and turns to swim away, the hook can rotate and grab in the corner of the jaw, which is what it's designed to do. So when you are baiting your hooks, make sure your baits are fairly lightly pinned and you're only just getting the bottom of the gape. I'll come in really close here. You should be able to almost see as much of that hook as you can see there now. Your bait will only be pinned in the bottom section here, allowing that hook to pivot in the bait. So if that's a squid ring, it's just lightly pinned through, hanging off the bottom. Same with a chunk bait. Never have this corner of the hook here from the barb up buried in the bait. It will not rotate and grab. Critical point, guys. That's the number one thing. Second point when you are fishing circle hooks is to make sure you are using adequate drag. You should have the reel engaged, the line fairly tight to the bait, and running around between 1 and 2 kilos of drag pressure, so that when the fish grabs that bait and swims away, it can grab in the corner of the mouth and it's done. Leave the rod in the holder until that fish is on, that the rod is fully bent over or peeling drag before you bother grab. Don't grab the rod and start striking at it. You will pull the hook out of the mouth. All right, thanks very much, guys. That's an overview on that. Stay tuned. I will give you a quick demo on how to tie a rig for big snapper and for big gummy sharks. G'day guys, welcome back. Okay, I'm going to tie a rig that I use for big gummies and for big snapper. This rig's quite simple. It is just a single dropper paternoster. So to do it, I've got about 1.2 meters of 80-pound mono. I use 80-pound because of the bigger bycatches I get in the areas. 60-pound will do most snapper quite nicely. I have a Lumo sleeve that's about 30-40 mil long, and of course a 7-0 Gamakatsu offset circle there. Quite simply, from the bottom of my line, I'm just going to create a drop. Just a loop there. This is for my sinkers. Just do an overhanded knot and put the loop back through that knot I formed twice. and pull it up tight. I'm not worried about lubing on that knot because it's not that critical. From there, guys, I'm going to come up about 300 mil and I'm going to form a loop. Probably going to use about 130, 140 mil of line here. Create a loop, just pinch it there, and then with your fingers just going under, over, under, over. I want to turn that around 6 times. And then the loop will come back through it. I have to grab that with my teeth for the moment. Now I only just pull that till it just starts to tighten up, guys. Lots of lube on it so that you don't burn the line. Now that has created a loop there that's sitting out probably about 70 mil. On that, quite simply, I put on that Lumo sleeve. The reason I use the Lumo sleeve is for 2 reasons. It is a little bit of bait extra attraction, I believe, particularly at night. Light it up under your spotlights before you put it out. But it does give bite protection because it pulls down over the hook. And if you do catch a shark as well, it helps stop getting bitten off. Big snapper and got some pretty sharp teeth too. Now, quite simply, guys, pinch that together, put it through the top of the eye of the hook and slide that up into the Lumo sleeve. All right, now I go around the shank twice. The reason I do that twice is that when I pull it up, you could hopefully just see that. See, it's over the length. It's going to pull up a little bit like a snell. It stops the line biting back into the corner where it is a folded eye. If you're using a fully welded eye, not a major issue, but it stops the line biting back into the sharp edge there. That in a long fight could bust you off. So wrapped over that twice around the shank and slide the Lumo sleeve back down on it. That there is going to present my bait beautifully. And that's it, guys. So in the rod holder, sitting horizontal to the water, in gear, 1 to 2 kilos of drag pressure on that, and leave it in the rod holder till that rod is buckled over, line is coming off your reel, and you're on, and very rarely will you lose that fish with that rig. No worries, that's it. Good luck, guys. Tight lines. I hope you catch a big fish soon. See you soon.